So before I move to my stencil material, I always like to cut out what I'm going to be doing on paper first. Paper is less expensive than your vinyl or your stencil material, so it's just easier to make a mistake here than at a later time. So I cut out my M and I cut out Miranda's name on this paper, and I was able to kind of lay it out on the canvas and see that really this was a little bit too big for the canvas that I was working on. So I sized down her name just a tad, and now I'm ready to peel my paper off and work with my stencil material. So like we had talked about, we have trimmed our Cricut mat down an inch to allow for it fitting into the Silhouette SD. And I'm just going to get my stencil material, which I have also trimmed, and going to lay it out on my Cricut mat. So power on. The other nice thing about the Silhouette SD versus the original Silhouette is that it has an SD card, which allows you to kind of design at an ulterior place. If you're not connected to your Silhouette, store that image and then cut it at a later time. So I'm just going to flip this up and then press this enter button because it's saying load media. And then because I'm not using a brand new Cricut mat, my stencil material is raising slightly. So I'm just gonna shift and press the arrow to the right, which allows me to scroll forward just a tad. Okay, then if I come back here to my computer, and I can close that lid for a second. If I go back here to my computer and press cut, it's going to bring me to the settings or the controller box here, and it's asking me what my media type is. So I'm going to put in magnetic sheet because it's saying that the thickness is at a 33, which is thick, and the speed is almost, very slow at a 3. It rates the speed from 1 to 10, and it rates the thickness from 1 to 33. So my thickness is 30, and my speed is 3, and then it's saying that I'm going to be needing the pink or the red cap. So I just want to make sure that that's what I have in here. And I have the red cap in, so I should be all good to go there. And then once you get that all set up, then you just hit cut, and the Silhouette will do its thing. My Miranda name is all cut out with my large M for behind, and I'm just going to cut my stencil material. I'm going to cut the big M away from my other letters because they're going to go on in separate steps, just because my big M is going to be purple, or kind of like a bluish purple because it matches Miranda's office. And then my Miranda is going to be in white. So if you're working with a mat that has a ruler on it, like the one that I have here, this canvas is 14 inches long. So I know by looking at that ruler that I want the middle of my M to be approximately at the 7. And then the word Miranda is going to go over the top of it. And I'm going to lose a little bit of that M, but that's okay. And then I'm going to try to have that A somewhere around the middle of the M. Okay, so here is my large M, my capital M that's going to be in the background, and I'm just going to weed out the stencil material so that the paint, I'm weeding out the part that I'm going to be painting. This is very, very sticky, and it will probably leave some kind of adhesive residue on your canvas, but we can take care of that later with packing tape. The other thing is that this is very sticky, and it is somewhat repositionable though, so if you get it down and you don't like exactly where it is, you can always pick it up and kind of move it. The other thing is that, I'll show you right now, right here, I am very, very close to the end of my stencil material. So if I painted this, I probably would get it over here on my canvas. So what you want to do is either, have some painter's tape handy and kind of tape that part off so that when you paint, it doesn't get all over the place. Okay, so I have my M all laid out, and I've got my little piece of tape here so that I don't get onto my canvas. And I have a color that pretty much matches Miranda's office perfectly. So I'm just going to start painting in my M. And you don't want to have your brush so saturated that it because it will leach slightly under the stencil material depending on what kind of medium you're working on. Now I have used the stencil material on some other projects, like if you're using wood or and it doesn't leak under. So you just have to kind of use your best judgment. Try not to have your brush overly loaded, but enough to fill in what you're trying to fill in.